Welcome to the Simpler Business Podcast, where we talk about ways to do what you love and serve your people in a way that brings you income and freedom. I'm your host, Marissa Roberts. Join me as I chat with my favorite entrepreneurs about how they simplify their biz so that you can simplify yours. If you're a coach who feels like you've hit the ceiling for how much income you can make in your zone of genius, you are going to love this episode. If you've made good money before, but you struggle to raise your rates, or if you feel like something's missing in your approach to running and growing your coaching business, but you don't exactly know what you don't know, or if you're comparing yourself to other coaches and you feel like you're not good enough or you have to charge lower in order to earn your stripes in the business, you are in the right place today. You are meant to hear what we're going to talk about, because I think it's time for you to enter the world of high ticket coaching and start showing up as the expert you are. High paying clients are the best to work with. They have made a real commitment to working with you. They're open to new ideas. They're fantastic at taking action because they want to make the most of their time and their investment with you. And you can also deliver really high value because when you're working with high ticket paying clients or high paying clients, you're not stretched too thin anymore among masses of clients. And that makes your client's financial commitment 100% worth it because they're getting a really, really good quality deliverable and results from you. Now, my guest today, Jessica Yarbrough, she has quickly developed a reputation of being one of the best business strategists for coaches and consultants who want to sell and scale their high-end services. She's a genius at showing entrepreneurs how to build an export platform, how to rapidly raise their value, build credibility, and attract high-paying clients. And I am very excited to have her on the show. Jessica, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. I'm so excited to talk about this topic because this is one that comes up again and again and again with our listeners, is that sort of feeling like I'm busy and grateful for my work, but I'm working 24/7 because they're not charging enough, but then they feel like they can't charge more because then the work is going to dry up. And I feel like that's something that pops up for almost everybody, especially in the first few years of running a business. Would you say you've seen the same in your experience?
Absolutely. But the problem is sometimes they carry that fear through 10 years of not raising their prices. And 10 years later, they look back and say, what have I done with my life? I'm still not where I want to be financially. And until you address the pricing issue, which is the fundamental problem to all of your problems, then you're going to stay stuck and will not grow. And you're going to resent your clients, honestly. You'll start to resent the clients, and you might feel like you just created another job for yourself.
Yeah, I think that resentment's a really, really true thing.
Mm-hmm.
And often the clients have no idea because they're going by your recommendation in terms of pricing. So they don't know why all of a sudden you are resentful, or people tend to ghost them or just give up like entirely. It's like, okay, this isn't working. I'm out of here. And I'm like, don't give up. Don't give up. Your gift is really important. You can help people. You've just got to make sure that you've balanced out what you're delivering versus what you're receiving. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really big topic.
Yes.
So why do you think people really struggle so much then with undercharging and as a result, underbookings? How does that work? Why do you think you see coaches being underbooked and underpaid?
I mean, I think it's a combination of a couple of things. One, there is a total lack of awareness of what the market is willing to pay. And I work with a lot of B2B coaches and consultants who are selling to organizations, whether it's a $4 million manufacturing company or whether it's, a multi-billion-dollar international energy company. And they don't realize that these companies, whether they're small or large, have big budgets set aside for investing in coaching and consulting. So they're literally creating massive transformation worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and charging pennies in comparison. Even if you're selling to individuals, there can be a real disconnect between, value and price. Just like with career coaches that I work with, if you're helping someone get a $20,000 raise, or a $50,000 raise, what's that really worth? So I think there's a lack of awareness of what the market is willing to pay that really holds them back. There's number two would be some measure of imposter syndrome. And that's that deep-rooted fear of, am I enough? Can I really do this? Am I worth this? Are people actually going to pay me this? All of that inner game stuff. And then the third is a real lack of strategy of how to do this. Because a lot of coaches and consultants They may know that people have six-figure programs or $50,000 programs or $25,000 programs, but they're like, how do I do this? I know it's happening out there. So it's those combination of the lack of awareness, the inner game, and the lack of strategy that really holds people back from from continuing to raise their prices.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's the sort of stuff that comes up again and again. That sort of feeling like I've got to be a people pleaser. Like I want that person to be
Mm.
happy, so I'll just kind of bring myself in as much as I can so that they'll be willing to work with me. And I'm like, no, not willing to work with you. They want the amazing outcome that you can provide. Or I see a lot of people who are helping people for free in a lot of
Mhm.
cases because of that imposter
Yes.
syndrome. Yeah. And then when the person they're helping turns around and goes, wow, this is really, really amazing. You've helped me achieve a really good outcome. They're
Mm.
almost surprised at the compliment or surprised at the result they can get. And I feel like going,
Yeah.
just because you don't recognize the value doesn't mean there isn't
Mm.
value there. And that value is 10 times what you think it is, not 2 times what you think it is.
Well, exactly. And the thing is, no one's going to volunteer to pay you more money, period.
Yeah.
And so the other thing is we teach people our value. And this is a lesson that I had to learn early on in my journey. And it was a very painful lesson to go through. And, but I know looking back that I had to go through it because ultimately I would shepherd other people through this experience. And believe me, I've had clients in tears arguing with me that couldn't happen, that this is not possible, and then turn around and sell, an insanely large contract. So there's so much inner programming that is in people's minds. And you have to kind of unravel that so that they can fully step into their power and with confidence and certainty sell at the next level.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Well, something I hear all the time is I know I'm good at what I do. I know I'm an expert, but I keep attracting people who just can't afford my services. How do we turn that around?
Mhm.
Because that's a common one that comes up.
Yeah, I mean, I want to look at a couple of different things. So, one, are you on the phone with the right people?
Mm,
So, are you on the phone with the right people who actually do have the money and they're not converting? Because that could be a sales call issue where you're not presenting yourself or your solution in a clear, powerful, concise way. You're not connecting with them. Or you could have an offer issue where they don't see the value, it's not presented. Um, that could be one scenario. If you're truly getting on the phone or getting on the phone with people that don't have the money, then you likely have a messaging and positioning problem. So it could be one of those things or all of those things. So we'd really have to dissect where the problem is. But a lot of people, they do have, I will say 90% of coaches and consultants that are coming to me that are struggling to land clients. I don't mean referral clients. I'm talking about kind of cold traffic, get total strangers to book calls with them, have fundamental communication issues. They cannot effectively communicate their value in the marketplace. Their positioning is not where it needs to be, and that keeps them attracting the cheapo or the freepo. And so until you elevate everything that you're doing, maybe you are solving a completely different kind of problem, or maybe you're going after a completely different kind of market and you're upgrading all of that, you're going to continue to attract more of the same.
It makes so much sense when you say it like that because I think of, real world examples. Like, let's say I was booking a driving service, for example. If I book a cheap driving service and they turn up in an old, dusty Rattler where you can't put the windows down and the radio isn't even working, I'm going to be like, okay, well, if I see
Right.
that around and out there, if I'm driving and I see that car in front of me, I'm not likely to book it if I want a good quality experience. But if I'm
Mm-hmm.
driving around and I see this beautiful, sleek vehicle with subtle but luxurious branding, and then I look up their website and it's got a whole, it's really about the value I get from the transaction, not the getting me to A and B, but how it feels to get there. I'm more
Mm-hmm.
likely to book that one. So I guess you're right. Presentation is a big thing, especially if it's somebody that's just stumbling over your website or your social media, for example, for the
Yes,
first time. That's going to be a pretty big deal breaker, right? Even if you
it
copy.
is.
Yeah.
It Yeah, and you only get one chance at a first impression. In fact, I had a client who and it was funny because we were in the DM and he said to me, I don't think you can help me. And I pushed back because a lot of people will be like, okay, yeah, have a nice day. And
Mhm.
because I was like, I know I can help him. And I gave him about eight different reasons why. And he even told me at one of my retreats, and he turned around and went from a no, you can't help me, to paying me 150,000. He said, uh, Jessica, like your branding and like your messaging, like really sold it for me, like solidified it for me. So it's not just about the words that you put out, it's the images, it's the color, it's the whole presentation, as you say, that can really anchor like perception of authority in someone's mind. Now, I say that with a caveat of, yes, you have that. And then you need to be actually authentic and be able to deliver. And you get on a sales call and you are what you say you are, and you have results, and et cetera. This is not about just creating an image. But you really need to, if you want to level up, you need to think about what you're putting out there to the world, both in terms of the content that you write, produce, to what you wear. Who are you attracting? It's like we are a very image focused society. So that does play a part as well.
Yeah. And I think too, I can recall when I'm working with clients, there's a difference between when I'm feeling rushed and haphazard during the morning and I'm not as well presented as I normally would be, and how I then deliver myself in person, almost subconsciously, compared to when I've had the time to take care of myself and make sure I'm looking amazing and wearing clothes that suit me and fit me and look beautiful and elegant.
Yes.
So then my delivery is completely different, and you don't even realize you're doing it at the time, do you?
Yeah, I mean, you really should dress for success and step into that energy. And I know it's hard because we come from like post-COVID world where everybody's working from home, but people still want to hire a professional, and I'm a big believer in showing up and looking the part no matter what.
Yeah. And I think that in turn can be related to our deliverables as well, right? Our actual packages, our offers, the things that we help people with, how we present them is just as important too. It has to be delivered in a way that makes people notice the value that we can actually provide rather than just shrug it off. Yeah.
Absolutely. So your assets need to all look, on point. And especially if you're going in a high-end market, they need to look high-end. And then really important, once they get into your program, you have to carry that level of professionalism through inside. So they don't get in and say, what is this? No, everything has to continue to look good. So it's very important that when you elevate your brand and your messaging and positioning, that you're creating cohesiveness throughout all touch points of the customer journey.
Yep. I love that. Okay, so if I've got somebody on the line that struggles with imposter syndrome, do you have any tips you can give them on how to really let that go, how to break free from those limitations and really recognize and own their own worth so that they can then look at charging more for a good quality service or result?
I mean, absolutely. You can absolutely say affirmations. You can hire a mindset coach who can unravel things from your childhood and spend 5 or 10 years trying to work through all of your stuff. And I actually always recommend that you have some sounding board and some inner guide, because I think we all need that. Yeah. But the fastest way to prove to your subconscious mind that you are worthy is to actually go out there and do it. So that's what I tell every single one of my clients who come to me. It's like, I've never sold a $300,000 package or whatever it may be. We're going to build it, give you confidence so that you feel like I can translate my value, and then you go out and do it. Because right now we all have a reference point in our mind of what's possible. What's possible is what you've sold in the past. That's it. That's the limitation, the self-imposed ceiling that you've put on. No, there's no ceiling. You've put it on there, right? And the only way, the fastest way, I wouldn't say the only way, the fastest way is going to be to actually get out there and sell it, because then you silence that voice that you can't argue with it. Yeah. Right. You might have a little bit, but with this was a one-time thing. I still hear the fears and insecurities, even from my clients making $1 million, a year. That still comes up a little bit, but it's a quiet voice because you've already said, yes, I can do this. You can say, be quiet, inner voice. I can do this. And so it's the fastest way. So it's to level up and actually find a solution. So you want to do it, find a real pain in the marketplace, something that's urgent, not like a little cut that's a slow bleed, not a luxury, like a nice to have, if we have the extra money, a must have. I've got a problem, it's bleeding. You're going to be the tourniquet. You're going to solve it. If you can find that kind of problem, build a solution around it, sell it, you'll silence that inner voice, that inner critic.
Yeah. And you know what? Chances are anyone listening today already knows what that problem is. They just haven't taken the time to really sit down and define it and to look at how that transformation can help people. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I was going to say there to go after people that value time more than money. Too many people, especially coaches and consultants, are targeting, if you're selling to the individual market, a lot of them are selling to people who value money more than time. That's for your DIY courses.
Yeah.
If they value money more than time, they don't have a lot of money. They have a lot of time. That's how you sell a membership model. That's how you sell a course. You want to sell high ticket. We need people who don't have a lot of time, but they have a lot of money. They pay you to help them get there faster. That's that secret shift for selling to an ultra high end market.
Yes, that is a big aha moment. That's a big shift. Oh, I love. We could do a whole episode just on that one.
We could.
All right. So, where then do you think people should look for clients who have the budget and are happy to pay 5 figures, 6 figures to work with us? Because a lot of people, when I'm doing, say, consults with people, they'll say the same thing. Yeah, but I'm trying to put it out there. I'm putting out like an elevated positioning and a really great offer. But yeah, I'm just getting the same thing back again. I wish I could, but I don't have the money. I wish I could. And that's the top question I get asked is like, okay, if they're out there, where
do you
they?
find them?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, the answer is going to be depend on who you serve and where your ideal clients hang out. Like I focus my business primarily on LinkedIn, and that's where I recommend, as far as a social media channel, I think LinkedIn and YouTube are really good. I think podcasting is really good. I used to teach Facebook. I don't, but it might be relevant for some people. They built their entire business on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. It really depends on, you need to go where your ideal clients are, right? That's where you need to hang out. For my clients, they're selling to organizations, or they're executives and selling to executives or business owners. So LinkedIn is a great platform for that. But I would say find your social media channel, your one or two. You don't have to be everywhere, but at least find one or two that you can go all in on. In-person events are great, whether you are speaking, hosting a workshop, or just working the floor. And you can certainly leverage the gold that's already in your network. A lot of people are constantly looking outside. How can I build? How can I reach new people? And they really haven't tapped that gold mine that is right there in front of them, whether it's listeners on their podcast or their existing following or their existing referral network.
Yeah, that's a good point. We're so caught up with the big picture and the big goal that we don't see what's right in front of us sometimes. And there's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a pretty big pool, really, when you think about it. And LinkedIn,
Well,
quite an
yeah.
untapped resource, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the clients, because the clients I work with are typically at a minimum of 200,000, so they're 200,000 to 600,000, and nearly every single in revenue, every single one of them has 6 to even some of them 7 figures sitting in their network. But, of course, they have to pull together the strategy to reach them and what to say and all of those things. But a lot of people, it's about the right connections. And I'm always a big proponent of quality over quantity. You're not trying to have a mass market program. This is not an influencer model. You don't need to, 10,000 people so that you can sell 1,000 of them into your $47 course. If you're selling big ticket items, if you have 100 amazing people, like that's a 7-figure business, even less than that. It could be 50, it could be 20, depending on your price point. I have clients who have, 4 clients, and that's a 7-figure business. So it's really about quantity versus quality. So if you at least have 100 solid ideal client connections, like you've got a viable business if you can figure out the pain and solve
I love that. And because I work with a lot of people who experience burnout as a business owner, and one of my favorite things to say to them is, I think what you're doing, the danger that you're getting into is you're charging so low that you have to work so hard, and then you're burning out and you can't deliver that high quality experience. And so even just the simple math of if you're having less clients but you're charging them more, you have the energy and the freedom and the availability to deliver a much higher quality service or result for them. So it's 100% worth it, and you enjoy it more. And people think, oh no, if I don't have a lot of clients, I'm not going to look like I'm good at what I do. No, it's the exclusivity that is the big public presentation in that case. It's looking like you're quite choosy with who you work with. You want to get ideal clients, not just any client, but ideal clients. And it's to take that pressure off and to not go, okay, I need 30,000 people in my course in order to make seven
Yeah.
figures. Like that's a
Or
lot.
even 100. I don't want 100 clients. I
Yeah.
think what happens is people get caught up in the perception of it. So they're following the 8-figure gurus with the massive value ladders and all the different products. And they're trying to compete with people that spend 6 figures a month on advertising and have massive teams and systems. If that's what you want, wonderful, build it. That model, what I have found, I don't know about with you, but for what I have found is most people don't want that. It's very rare. And if they want that, they don't typically hire me because that's not what I do. Most people want to make a good amount of money, whether it's high 6 figures or, a few million a year. And they want to make an impact and they want freedom and
Yeah.
happiness. Like that's what they want. They don't want to build a monstrosity of a business that they're working 80 hours a week to eventually sell for 20 million and never see their kids for the next 10 years or whatever it may be. That's most of the time people want to make a really good living, be paid well for it, work with people that they really enjoy so they can make a difference and still have time freedom, take the vacations, be there for their kids' sporting events, whatever it may be. And so you need to find what it is that you want and don't try to mimic the people, the Alex Hormozis or the Gary V's or whatever. If that's not what you want,
Yeah.
like their style of content marketing isn't going to work for your business if that's what you want.
That's
If
true.
that's not what you want, right?
Yeah, their
So
way's not the only way. Yeah.
yeah. So just find alignment of what you, and there's nothing wrong. If you want that, by the way, and you're listening, you're like, I want the private jet and all. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I really value working, 6 hours a day, 4 days a week. Like to me, that's the epitome of being able to be present for my family and everything.
Yeah.
But for some people, that's what they want. So get into alignment with what you want and then reverse engineer how you want to get there. And if it's like, I'm going to feel this pressure because I'm selling $1,500 packages or $100 whatever, then you need to change that model. And again, go for quality over quantity.
Yeah. It makes so much sense when you put it like that, when you're not kind of caught up in the everyday of your business and they're trying to please everybody and you just
Yes.
sit down and actually take time to define exactly what it is that you want,
Yes.
how you want to deliver it, and how many people you'd like to serve. It becomes a lot more simpler then once you get rid of that emotional attachment to what you're doing and just think about it in terms of this is a business decision. This is not an emotional decision.
Right. Look at it logically, look at the numbers and go from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Jessica, I think you have so many good points. We could go down so many different rabbit holes, and I think they'd all be really helpful for our listeners. So for people who are listening out there today who want to go further with you and love the idea of the model that you present and the reasoning behind it, what's the best way for them to work with you or get in touch with you?
Well, I would say everybody should definitely go to jessicayarbrough.com/influence and download my ladder of influence. Read through that. If it resonates with you, then there's a link to apply for a call on there, but I definitely recommend diving into that. It's like 30-page guide first. Otherwise, find me on LinkedIn, send a connection invite and let me know you heard me on this show and we can go from there. I put out content every day on LinkedIn and YouTube, several videos per month. But those are the primary places you can find me.
Beautiful. All right. So, ladder of influence, I found very, very helpful. How to influence others to buy from you and scale your authority so that you can grow a 7+ figure coaching or consulting business. If that is up your alley this year, this is the resource to get because it's got lots of great tips and examples. And what I love the most is you actually share the results that some of your clients are getting in a way that's really it takes away that pressure. It takes away that, "Oh, they get it, but I don't." It's actually people people in similar situations who have made huge turnovers in their business and really impacted people in a positive way in a really nice, easy to follow model. So I love what you do, Jessica. I think that
Thank you.
yeah, I'm so glad that we met. We connected on LinkedIn actually, and I
Yes.
think that I'm very lucky to have seen you because 12 years in the business and I still struggle with that sort of thing as well. Like I'm an expert in a lot of things that simplify business and give you more time freedom. And yet I've always mentally thought of my audience as, small pockets of people in smaller areas. I've kind of limited myself as well. And I think I'm not the only one who's in that circumstance. So this is a very exciting conversation to have because immediately I'm like, oh, actually I can see where I can go into this area and this area and talk to people in this area here. That's
Work with organizations.
yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
The mindset thing was a really big thing. I think you're right. You've really got to nail your mindset just as much as you have to nail your offers and your presentation. I think it all balances out in the end. As long as you're focused on all of those together, you can really go such a long way. And I'm really excited to see where everyone goes with this. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, I loved it. And I know that everybody out there would have enjoyed the conversation as much as I've enjoyed having it. Make sure you go ahead and grab Jessica's resource and check her out on LinkedIn and on her website. And I'll see you all in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Simpler Business Podcast. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to make it nice and easy for you, just the way we like it. If you're ready to simplify and scale your business, you can get started with my free audio class at marissaroberts.com. See you next time.